What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? Is as always, welcome to Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar, Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network, so we'll be talking all sports, but only Houston. With that being said, y'all already know it's Wink Wednesday, and it always go down on Wink Wednesday. Wink, how you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm good, man. Another great show is underway. Planning to put out another dose of have some healthy knowledge, and just interact with fans. Just how y'all doing today?
Exactly. So let's see who we got in the motherfucking mix. You know what I'm saying? And then we're going to get into it. So if you don't know how it goes, man, there is no sauce without the freshest motherfucking ingredients, and you are the freshest motherfucking ingredients. So if you're new to this, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell your grandma to hit the show, you know what I'm saying? Let her know, because if you really love your grandma, you're going to put on some real game. But we're going to see who we got in the mix this evening. We're going to get the Sauce Nation roll call going. So that means, if you are from the city, and the city being Houston, man, shout out your side with pride. Let us know where you're from. And if you're not from the city, okay, I'm Damon Smith. Appreciate the love, man. Hit that subscribe button. You the freshest flavor in the mix. So like I say, man, make sure that you let us know where to send that love. If you're not from the city, then let us know where you're from. Your city, state, town, how you get down, your avenue, hood, your gang set, whatever your military affiliation, whatever it may be, however you get down, however you represent, however you identify yourself, man, just let us know. We're going to send some love in your direction, some of that computer love in your direction. And we're going to see who we got in the mix, man, and then we're going to go from there, man. We're going to get this thing jumping, because we're going to talk tonight about, 5 things to look out for, as camp is approaching. It's about a week away, and, there's plenty to discuss. It's about that Texans time, so I know that's what y'all know and love, and so we're going to get into that. But this is who we got in the mix. Jose Munoz, Mrs. Voodoo C, what's the motherfucking deal? Zachariah, J-Pack. Pac, J-Pac, I keep up J-Pac, got a pack of noodles or some shit. B-Shell, what's the motherfucking deal? Ashmel, what's the motherfucking deal? Jose, what's the motherfucking deal? Darren Davis, Jason Ducey, what's the motherfucking deal? Simp and Ken, what's the deal? Jerry Montalvo, what's the motherfucking deal? White Persuasion, always good to see you. Nathan King, Wise, already. Voodoo Child, you know what I'm saying? As usual, Miss Voodoo done beat you in here, but we ain't even gonna trip. Daniela Messenger, what's the motherfucking deal? Kevin Preston, already Harm Clock representing. Okay, he said Manny Machado to the Dodgers. I heard they gave up a bunch for him. Shout out to Hector.
I'm starting to believe that Mrs. Voodoo C is a much bigger fan than Voodoo C.
I might have to agree with you on that. We're gonna have to do some research. I'm gonna have to go back and look at some videos and do some research, man. We're gonna have to find out. Raymond Leal, I want to make sure I don't want to make sure I'm not saying your name incorrect. You say you haven't been on since football or Rockets. I understand, man. We here every night. Brent Dismute, what's the motherfucking deal? Daniela, Lazarian, Chris Well, what's the motherfucking deal? Make sure I ain't missing nobody, man. Like I say, you got to send that love. East Side Herald already. South Side in the building. I see you, Daniela. You said the Raptors and Spurs trade. We ain't worried that shit. I got shit to do at H-time. We ain't even tripping from.
We really ain't.
You say Ryan in DeRosa, Texas already. Mississippi in the motherfucking building already. Let's see. Make sure I ain't missing nobody. DeMarcus, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. I see you, Voodoo, but do you have to ask her permission first? You know what I'm saying? He talking about who donates to the sauce. You might have to get that, help.
I mean, you get permission from her. It's like you can't move without her, bro.
We go. Let us
and Miss Voodoo C, tell me if I'm wrong. He can't move without you, can he?
Already. Boy, say fuck that. But we're going to get into it, man. Like I said, we're going to talk about the 5 things. And it's not just 5 specific things, but it's 5 specific things. But it's definitely layers to that. 5 things that you got to pay attention, that you're going to have to focus on. And actually, there's a bonus thing that I was thinking about a little bit. We'll talk about that at the end, too. But it's plenty to look out for. We ain't going to do you like John McClane say, we got 5 things and hit you with like 32 things. And we're going to try to stay around the proper number. But anyway. We ain't worried about pancakes. We ain't worried about none of that shit. It's all about y'all, the freshest motherfucking ingredient. Oh, okay. They say they keep the money separate. They do whatever they want. Okay, I ain't mad at that. That is a good way to be. Sometimes money can cause some beef. But starting off with the number. Like I say, I just want to say the best moderating couple in the entire world. So I appreciate y'all. However the rules go.
Right.
I really know. I know Pedro run it all. You know what I'm saying? Pedro really run the show. So we ain't even gonna stunt. If he could type, he'd be in the mix, really telling us the truth. But it's all Gucci. But I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all been putting in a lot of work for a long time, and I definitely appreciate that. We say we got 5 things to focus on, and let's just get right in it to win it, man. The first thing, and I think the most noticeable thing that we're going to have to pay attention to in Texans camp to see what is really shaking is that offensive line and the issues that they have. I think there's a few significant things that we're going to have to pay attention to, and a few reasons why we're going to have to look at that. Because one, it's a lot of new pieces that have been brought in to be a part of forming a better wall of protection for Deshaun Watson. And when it comes to offensive lines, I mean, you can have guys of various talent levels, and some guys are able to pick up the slack where other guys may be lacking, and vice versa. But for that to happen, you have to have the appropriate chemistry. And so I think that's a big issue, being, again, like I said, a bunch of first-year guys. The only real constant you have that I feel that's going to be starting is going to be Nick Martin. And, being the center is really the man who is in control of all that. He's going to be calling out, schemes and things, and he's going to be directing everybody else where to go. And so I think that's the most important part, and glad that he's been here, so he kind of has an understanding. But again, kind of just understanding how the pieces to the side, to the left and right of him are going to operate. And then I also worry about the end caps. We have Davenport. He's played a few games, started a few games, and he showed that, he is capable. But my biggest issues are going to be Chantrell Henderson and Mr. Martinez Rankins. And Martinez Rankins, I want to speak on him for a bit because he's going to be kind of an unstable issue, in my opinion. All the scouting reports were the further inside you moved him, the better off he was. Yes. But right now they're expecting him to play tackle, and I'm assuming right tackle. But also being at right tackle, he has a broken foot. So that's going to mean that he is going to be limited in what he's able to do. So we may not even really get a chance to see him perform or practice or, get into position until, early in the season. So, I mean, it's not a guaranteed again. And in my opinion, the footwork was so-so from what I saw on college tape. I didn't really see him being a great tackle. Again, guys can develop. People can get better. Let me make sure I keep up with the minutes today because I was definitely off yesterday. And shout out, I got to show a little bit of Stroh's love. Shout out to Bregman. Shout out to Springer holding down the all Stroh's game yesterday because we already know.
Oh, yeah, definitely shout out to Bregman, man.
You know what I mean? So like I say, they can act like they don't see us, but we're going to make ourselves known. But again, like I say, so with Rankin and, him being an integral piece of trying to help protect, I keep pushing the wrong shit, Watson, I mean, it's almost looking like it's going to be Chantrell Henderson by default. And by many different accounts, he's heard that this guy was decent. He was solid, but, he had the health issues, had a little bit of the weed issues. Y'all know I don't really give a shit about that. But, the NFL, that is what it is. Let me make sure I get that set. Okay, cool. That we haven't really seen a lot of. We don't know what he's going to come back and be. If I'm not mistaken, he was on a 1-year deal, right? It was something like that, like a 1 year. He's on like a prove-it situation. I don't think they signed him to multiple.
Who are you talking about?
That's Chantrell Henderson. I think he only got like a year or something.
Yeah. He paid him $4 million for a year.
Okay. All right. Look, Stephen A. Smith, stay off the weed. But here's the deal. So with Chantrell, he's a bigger guy. I think he's a bit bigger than Martinez. I think he's about 6'6", 6'7", or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I could be off. I haven't gone back and looked at the stats, but it can't be too much worse than the situation that we were in last year. I liked Jacobini, not the fact that he was good, but the fact that he had some attitude out there on the field, and I'm hoping that some of these guys can bring that. But again, you can't have a whole bunch of attitude and be trash, so that's not a good combination.
But who's to say at the NFL level Martinez Rankin won't equate to what Kendall Lamb has done?
That's my fear factor. That's what I say right now, especially without him being able to have a chance to practice. He's been hurt really since the mini camp, if I'm not mistaken. And not having a chance to get out there, get the experience, not going to be out there able to really get in a lot of repetitions in the Greenbriar. I think his chances of starting have declined rapidly. And, by the time that the season gets going, you're not going to have time to really sit there and waste time trying to figure out what he is and isn't able to do. So I think that breaking his foot, of course, it's not like he chose to do it, but I feel like that's going to put him behind schedule quite a bit. I think that it's going to be a problem for him and the rest of the team. So
a major factor I feel with him being injured, and we all know, you name me one player that has had an injury as a rookie prior to them actually being able to get any NFL experience or them getting a slow start. Name me one player who was able to start slow and actually stayed on this roster 2 years past the time he was drafted.
No, it's a very hard time. It's a very, very slim chance. Like I say, that you're just behind the 8 ball because, you don't really have an opportunity to see what it is. They drafted him in the 3rd round, so I feel like they're going to give him a chance. Maybe he was unlucky. If he shows some flashes during the season, during practice, that he's somewhat capable, I think that they'll entertain him for another year or two simply because, they want to give him a fair shot at seeing what he can bring to the table.
Yeah.
But I think during this season, I think that injury has kind of pushed him to the back. And unless he just, again, has to show some flashes during practice, he's going to have to, really just kind of catch up during the season. And unless there's another injury or something ahead of him, I think it's going to be a problem for him. And like I said,
and I'm not, and I see this Muke. I see I'm talking about offensive players specifically. Name me one person offensively, because I need to verify this. And we've also had people who came back from injuries, and Lewis Nix was traded in the offseason. And when you go back and go look at Hard Knocks, which I just did today and yesterday, and it's kind of funny, the episode where Quentin Dempsey was brought back, Brian Game was the one who was talking about his speed and that he would be a good option, to cut the deep defensive end to bring him back. So, not even really realizing that was him. That was him in that episode. But there really haven't been a lot of play. Yeah, Lonnie Valentine, all of these guys, bro. Like, if we're talking about the defensive side, they've probably been a couple of players, not really too many. But in terms of offenses, like, these guys have either played longer because of their draft slots, like Xavier Su'a-Filo. He had injuries and, his college, schedule, in terms of him playing in the Pac-12 and shit like that, that also hindered his development. But it shouldn't have took him 4 years to learn how to develop to be a left guard, since he knew that was going to be his position.
Absolutely.
But before I get into any other points, I just want to shout out to you personally, because I didn't get to do it. And I just wanted to thank you for the for the new look that I got for my channel, with my little icon and all of that little shit. Shout out to Ed Honcho for making sure that the round table is looking right. We all uniform so that we can be taken seriously.
Already, no problem. We got a little text on the sauce line, man, from the #1 sauce line holder downer. Shout out to Chandler, man, always showing love. He says, shout out to Honcho and Wink. Says, I think Nick Martin should be a left guard and put Greg Manx at center. I wouldn't. I'd consider that.
It's so funny you saying that. And not to cut you off, but Honcho, it's so funny you saying that, because just playing, like, it was a day or 2 days ago, me, Braylon, were playing on Madden, and we were in the party chat, and that exact same issue, what you just said, was brought up, and they really weren't opposed. Mm-hmm. And I think we've had enough of playing dudes out of position, and I don't really want Nick Martin to stunt his growth and development when he hasn't even gotten to play center at his fullest potential. So why do it now? Because Brian Gaine didn't bring in the necessary pieces at those positions. Because versatility has not served out for offensive linemen for us. So why does he care about versatility for offensive linemen when the linemen you have at their so-called positions haven't even panned out for you under Mike Devlin, which is another problem.
We discussed versatility being an issue, but I mean it could be a plus if it's a successful situation. But more often than not, I feel like versatility becomes an issue because, again, you playing guys trying to have them worry about doing too many different things. I'd like to see Greg in I'd like to see him actually get a chance to start, because I thought that even when Martin went down, he played well. He had his few moments of shine. Now he's not the biggest guy, but hey, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him get some shine. Now, a couple other things that happened with this offensive line that we have to take a look at is because, Jeff Allen got released, and a lot of people were figuring that Jeff Allen was going to be guaranteed a starting position. And that was kind of news to a lot of folks. And I've still yet to find out exactly what the injury was. Everything that I've looked up said undisclosed. And so that's what makes me wonder if it was more of a long-term thing as opposed to a talent thing.
From what Braylon told me yesterday, because we were playing Madden and we were talking about this shit, me, him, and Phoenix. And from my understanding, he has a heart issue.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I guess he has, chest problems and things, that going on top of, him having, his leg injury. I want to say it was his ankle or something like that he was having problems with. And, it's unfortunate that, his time here didn't pan out, and it's, it just adds to the long list of free agents who just, were something somewhere else. And when they get here, they're not the same player. Yeah. So I'm starting to think, we're good at developing teams, but bringing in established starters, we don't know what to do with them when we get them, for the most part.
I could agree with that. I think that kind of we talked about yesterday, a lot of the people that we brought in, even some of the bigger names, how they have failed to pan out. But, the guys that we, develop here, they go elsewhere and they thrive, So I figure that is a big issue. But let's get on to the second point. The second thing I want to talk about, another issue, another thing that we've been speaking on quite some time, even since pre-draft and all that other stuff. The second issue I think we have to pay close attention to is the secondary. And a lot, again, the secondary has some similar situations to what's going on with the offensive line. You got a lot of new pieces. You have some health issues, with Andre Howe going down. And we're not going down, but not being available temporarily, let's say, well wishes to Andre Howe, so hopefully everything bounces back for him quickly. But a lot of changes, a lot of pieces have been rotated. We've seen Kareem Jackson get moved to safety. We've seen Daku get moved to safety. We've seen Kevin Johnson is presumably your number 2 guy. We've seen Colvin come in and not sure exactly where he's going to fall. I'm sure he wants to fight for an outside position, because that was a big thing that they said with him in Jacksonville, that he wanted a chance to show that he could play outside. So there'll be a little bit of competition there. We look at the safety situation and with Justin Reed, the draft pick. Now, I'm not going to pile a bunch of hope on him, because again, 3rd round pick. I mean, it was our first pick, so we were excited about it. But again, in the grand scheme of things, there's a reason that he fell to that position. But what I want to ask you is, do you feel, had Hal remained healthy, does Justin Reed compete for a starting position?
Yeah, I think either way. I think, honestly, because Andre Hal was originally a corner. So it's a lot of things, him moving to safety and him developing into a decent safety. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we can say he is. He's a decent safety. He can come up and get plays when you need him to do, and parts of the game when you don't expect him to make a play, he does. And, it seems like the plays he makes are always pivotal and turn games around for us. But it would have been – it's really tricky, and I feel that why do you have all these guys who were originally corners who you're trying to slot out to what now is a deep safety core? I mean, unless they're talking about – the only reason I can say for this is if he's changing his scheme and he wants to run a 46 bear scheme. That would make sense if he wants to have, instead of having corners, he can have safeties coming down to play in the box, or if that's what, maybe for him, he just wants to switch something up that he's probably was fixing or that he wanted to do when Mike Vrabel was the DC. But, he wasn't listening, so it's a lot of things that he's probably going to bring into fruition this season in terms of base packages. because I honestly don't believe we're really going to pay a lot of base defense. You know, maybe when it comes against the run and in certain situations, but I think we're going to play a lot of nickel and a lot of dime this year because we have the secondary to do so this year.
All right. Let me see. So another thing, you know, say we're looking at the situation, and I know that.
How do you feel about it, though?
Clarence with the nice parents. With Reed and Howe situation, like I said, I felt like Reed was going to come in and challenge anyway because I don't feel like they were just necessarily comfortable with what they had.
Right.
And then I think, you know, the fact that Honey Badger and Reed's brother have such a close connection, I think that he was definitely going to mentor Reed one way or the other. Because, I mean, Honey Badger, he's a motivational type guy. Matter of fact, I don't know if y'all had a chance to see his stories, and he was posting some things, and it looked like Reed was looking all right out there. Like I said, again, it was against some lower tier guys. I want to see what it looks like against Hop and some other folks, but
right.
But again, like I say, you know, just the fact that he's kind of embracing that leadership role. I think Reed eventually, I think he's more. To me, he seems like he's a better overall athlete than what we've had. I think they re-signed more just because of familiarity. And so, because I mean, as we all know, I mean, had that been anybody else other than Corey Moore, and regardless of how we feel about the secondary in that Patriots game, touching that ball, that game.
Andre Hale makes that play easy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
if Andre Hale was in that situation to be in that spot on the field, he makes that play easy. We don't even have to worry about it. Honestly, Kareem Jackson makes that play. Now, I'm not too sure Kevin Johnson makes that play, but we definitely know J-Joe makes the play. If it was nobody else who we could have picked to been in a better in that situation, we know J-Joe doesn't drop the ball.
Okay. Now, speaking of Kevin Johnson, you know, he was out there. He was on one of the little clips that Honey Badger posted. Now, again, one clip, you can always look good on one play. But in honest opinion, I want to know how y'all feel in the chat. Do you guys see? I've already took my crow before the season, so y'all already know how I feel. Does Kevin Johnson have a bounce back season?
He can, because Romeo Cornell's the DC. Just like how I feel Bernard McKinney's play because he's losing the necessary weight that, you know, that it appears that Mike Vrabel wanted him to pick up because he wanted him to play a different type of position of what he thought a middle linebacker should be. And it didn't. I mean, even though he had 90-plus tackles, you know, he had close to 100 tackles, it still didn't negate the fact that he was nowhere near as explosive as he was. He wasn't being used. He wasn't being blitzed when we needed extra pressure. He, you know, in coverage, he looked like in seasons prior, he already didn't look very great in coverage. And last year, he really looked bad in coverage. You know, I know the players love him, and I like what the Houston Texans are doing right now when they're talking about all the players. It's kind of like the top 100, and they have, like, you know, they in a room talking about players on the defense. They talked about Whitney Merciless. They talked about McKinney. They talked about Reeder. They just did one with Will Fuller just like a couple of hours ago. You know, where they're talking about him. Yeah, and they, you know, it's on Twitter and shit like that. So if you see it, you can retweet it, or if you got the Texans app, they got all of the players up that they talked about thus far. And it's just like he makes the team better defensively. Period. I think his wisdom, his coaching, he allows them to be the best and puts them in the situations where he knows they can make plays specifically. You know, he runs certain coverages, he can do certain blitzes, and he can bring pressure from any part of the field he wants to, as long as they stay disciplined and they trust and communicate with each other. And I think all of that elevates once he's back calling the defense at full time.
Okay. So a lot of people in Arizona had mixed opinions once the Honey Badger was gone. And me personally, I believe that it was a great addition, man. So how do you feel? Do you feel like his leadership, that he's going to really be able to bring some? He's a younger guy, and it's like I say, one of the better younger free agents that we picked up. Because usually when we've seen free agents, they've been old, kind of over the hill, and we've kind of picked him up on the merit of what they had done. Honey Badger, in my opinion, has enough like to take.
Him and J-Jo are probably the two prime defensive backs that we've gotten in our entire tenure. Mm-hmm. I want to say J-Jo was about 26 when we got him. Honey Badger's 26 right now. Yeah. So the fact that he has plenty left in the tank, and he's able to make plays, and just to think he's not gonna have what he had on his plate. He's gonna be able to play freely under us, and I think that's the main thing that attracted him to him. On top of being able to play with the guys that we have on the offense, so he knows they can score points. He knows he can cause situations where they can get the ball back, and it adds to the communication. When you have somebody like Honey Badger, room for mistakes in terms of the secondary almost go away. When you look at the play that they had and with the type of secondary that they had in Arizona, and when you got guys like Chandler Jones rushing the passer along with a few other guys that they had, if it wasn't for their linebacking core, they honestly could cause more havoc, and they have far more turnovers than they did. And, it's just unfortunate for the Cardinals, and it's a major plus for us because we need that type of player. There's no reason for us to have the pass rush that we have. We know we have a phenomenal pass rush, that we don't have the same to match in the back end, and we do now with with the players that we have. And honestly, I think Jonathan Joseph is going to ball out this year. Okay. He looks different. It's something about, I don't know what it is. He looks different. He looks totally different, and from a physical standpoint, and he looks a little bit more youthful. Okay. And I just think that he was able to probably add some things to his game, and having that level of communication that he's going to have, I don't really see T.Y. Hilton and guys like that getting off on him this year. I really don't.
Okay, yeah, that was actually about to be my next question. And if y'all vote, y'all have to read the whole thing, put the exclamation point, vote, as one word, then put your thing, and I'll show y'all how to do that so you can get your vote counted. Otherwise, it's not going to count your vote. So here's the deal. So like I say, J-Jo and the age, that was going to be the next thing I was going to ask you. But the thing about J-Jo also, honestly, if you look at it, J-Jo seems to be the only constant that is returning from that secondary last year. If we're looking at starters, if we're looking at, we can talk about guys in the position. Of course, Kevin Johnson was there, but he wasn't really contributing like that. He was kind of in and out with the injuries. J-Jo is the only consistent player that will be returning from the previous year's roster. And I think you got to have a little bit of that left over to, because like I said, you just don't want to start brand new with a brand new group of guys or guys in different positions that, to me, like, again, chemistry is an issue. You talk about communication. That is a very big issue because especially in the secondary, when you're passing guys off or when you got to know what coverages you need to be in and things like that. Right. I mean, you have to be able to communicate. Yes. Another thing that you mentioned with the Honey Badger's communication, what I like about him is I feel like he's going to be willing to hold people accountable. So he's not the type of dude that's going to back down from saying, hey, man, you should have been fucking right here and making this play or doing this, that, and the third. Right. As opposed to kind of getting on people's ass. You're going to have to, man. And, like, you need that. You can't just, oh, man, that nigga fucking up again and not say nothing. I think Honey Badger will be a guy to say, hey, look, this is the deal. This is what, and correct those problems immediately. So that's
he'll be the Chris Paul of the secondary.
Yeah, that's a very good comparison.
He'll be the Chris Paul of the secondary, hands down. It won't be a problem. It won't be a problem. The secondary will be the least of our problems.
Okay. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about in that secondary before we move on, man. We're talking about position changes with Jackson and Dakoud. What do you really see the situation with Jackson panning out? Because he went from essentially a starting corner to most likely not starting at safety. How do you see that panning out? Do you see him finding a way into that starting role, or do you feel like he's either going to end up moving back to corner, or what do you think happens with Kareem Jackson?
This is what I see, and not only is it the right move that if he was going to be on the team that Texans fans have been begging for, but we know what he is. He can tackle in space. He can, if anything is in front of him, he's able to diagnose plays, get there, make plays. When he's in trail technique, and when he's in press coverage, and when he has to lock and he has to out routes and zig routes and crossing routes, he's not going to be able to do that. But him playing from a dime or a safety position, because it's not just like, it's sometimes he's going to be able to play strong safety up top along with Honey Badger in certain scenarios. In other scenarios, he's going to be able to blitz as a safety, which he is very good at. It was only appropriate that he moved to this position, because at the end of the day, they like, we're going to bring pressure from Clowney. We're going to bring pressure from Merciless. We're going to bring pressure from J.J. Watt. DJ Reader's going to be able to cause some pressure. Covington's going to be able to cause some pressure. Cunningham and Cole are going to be able to make plays. McKinney's going to be able to blitz at times, on top of bringing somebody else like Kareem Jackson off of the edge to help against guys like Tom Brady and guys that we're going to end up playing to have prolific offenses down the line. Yeah, see, you'll be able to use him as a spy. It's so many things that you're going to be able to do with Kareem Jackson not being a corner, whether it's the slot, whether it's a number one or number two, that are going to pan out for him. And it keeps him being a Houston Texan for a couple of more years. And people, and hopefully he'll be able to turn the tide and actually put some respect on his own name.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something about slot, and we're going to take this last point, and we're going to get on to the third thing we need to look at. Colvin. Now, where do you see Colvin ending up now? He came from Jacksonville. He was a slot guy. He was a prolific slot guy. He did very well. He held it down for what he was, but he's a guy that wants to move to the outside. Do you see him having a possible chance of beating out Kevin Johnson for a position? Do you think he remains a slot corner? What do you see the situation ending up being with Aaron Colvin?
The only reason I would consider him as a number two is because technically he may be more refined at this point, and he's had more time in the league going against some of the better players at the position. I mean, he's not going to lock up any number one receiver. He's going to have some problems here and there with some number twos, just depending on the type of team. Like when he goes against the Browns, I'm not sure who I would want him to hold. Like, he might have to hold Corey Coleman, because I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do against a guy like Jarvis Landry or Flash Gordon when that time comes. And, honestly, a player like him, I honestly want him going against the best tight end. See, that's the problem with his position. That's what he should be doing. He should be doing and playing A.J. Bouye's role that he had early on in 2016 before Kevin Johnson went out. That's what I really feel he needs to do, because I honestly don't trust Kevin Johnson to guard a tight end. He's too small. He hasn't worked on his body enough that what is noticeable, nobody's talking about it. Yeah. And I just feel that technically he's flawed. I know he can make some plays. I know he can come up and he can close and he can do some things, and I know he's aggressive. But his over-aggressiveness will hinder this football team. He is the only, if we're being real, he is the only weak link in the secondary. He is the only one. Besides that, everybody else should be serviceable enough to do and work in the positions that, that they're at right now. But, I mean, who's to see? Maybe he may just change his mind, and, we might all eat crow, and Honcho may have been a prophet and actually foreseen some shit, from the football gods that nobody else is seeing. But the only reason why he's going to play any better is because of Romeo Cannell. It's not because it's of his skill set. He's just being put in the best situation.
Okay. Now, the thing I like about him, again, we talk about that attitude. He's definitely got a little bit of dog in him now. The skill set, will it match? We'll have to see, and his talent and ability. But again, I'll take any kind of anything as opposed to what we've been having with all the nice guys the last few years, because to me that shit just, it doesn't benefit anybody. But let's go ahead and move on to the third thing. The third thing I want to discuss that we need to look at and pay close attention to going into camp. And that thing is the health of our defensive stars. Now, we lost a lot of major pieces last year. You know, JJ went down. A couple plays later, you have Merciless go down. End of the season, you have Clowney with the knee scope, and it seems the recovery is taking a little bit longer, or he sat out, the mini camps and things like that, even though the knee scope is supposed to be a relatively routine procedure that you bounce back from kind of quickly. So mainly with these three guys, and this is not to say, like I said, we don't have some guys, some linebackers and things like that to pay attention to. I think Cole is back in action. He should be fine. And our secondary, like I say, for the most part, should be good. But looking at these three guys, let's start off with JJ. And honestly, do you feel like JJ Watt returns back to form? Do you see him being able to be maybe not defensive player of the year, JJ, but at least being a consistent problem?
What'd you say now? Repeat that question. I was too busy reading this bullshit that Heidi was talking about. I don't know what it's like to be a simp. You might have to ask Drake that question. Ask Floyd Mayweather that question. Those are the major simps that I know. You know what I'm saying? Talk to some of these dudes on Instagram that might be in your inbox, or the ones who used to be in your inbox. Yeah, but what was your question though?
Let me see real quick. The question was JJ Watt. Does he return to form? And I did not say expecting him to be defensive player of the year, JJ Watt, but can he be a consistent problem for opposing offenses?
Man, I missed your question again, bro. I'm having a brain fart reading these goddamn comments and shit. Right. My bad, bro. What was it one last time,
does JJ Watt bounce back?
Does JJ Watt bounce back? That's on him and his body. I mean, I can't really say. Hopefully. I mean, he really has no because other guys are elevated around him, and because the secondary is a little stronger, he really shouldn't have to overexert himself to make plays.
Okay. So you feel like he's going to play at a more measured pace this year as opposed to trying to just, dominate on every single down? Do you think that he's going to kind of gauge his body a bit more and then, when he's tired, actually come out? Or do you see him still trying to be,
I think the defensive staff needs to mind his reps, and when they see him get into a place where they see he can take it and he's progressing along, because I don't really see – it's not like he's unhealthy right now. He looks like he's in great shape, you know what I'm saying, shit like that. But it's not really that little bad, you know what I'm saying? I really think he can make some plays. He should be able to be more productive than he's been in the last 2 seasons. But we'll see, man, because I don't really have anything to go off of. All I can do is hope that he's 85% of what he used to be in 2014 and 2015.
Okay. No big deals. Like I say, with him last year, he definitely came off he was coming off the back surgery. So I felt like, him having that extra time off, even though it was to heal a knee, and, that gave that back maybe a little bit more time to recover, even though, he put a little bit of pressure on in the first few games. But, kind of give him more time to relax, let that kind of recover. My concern is going to be, is his footwork, his speed, things like that. But it seems to be that, he's been putting in the work and training hard. And the guy with that mentality, I think, mind over matter. And J.J. Watt, we've seen throughout the years, he has a very strong mentality. He pursues and goes after what it is that he wants. So, again, like I said, I don't know if it'll be defensive player of the year, J.J., but I expect him to come back, like I say, around where you say, about 80, 85%. And if you get an 80, 85% J.J. Watt, that's still better than 90% of the rest of the, defensive linemen in the league. So I have no problem with that. Let's look at one of the more underrated guys, man. The one, to my opinion, one of the most underappreciated players in the league, and that's Whitney Merciless. Having a pectoral injury, and that's not going to affect what he does. It's not going to affect his speed or anything like that. But the thing about a pectoral is, even in the position that he's in, when you're an outside rushing guy, when you're a guy like that, your hands are just as important as your feet. Your hand placement, getting guys off you, things like that, creating separation, things of those nature, that are very important. How do you feel about, the pectoral injury? Do you think that will have any major impact on his ability to keep guys kind of at bay, kind of keep that distance, or you don't think it's going to slow him down at all?
Absolutely not, man. This man's this man's pass rush moves, and the fact that he was able to create more moves, because a man like Whitney Merciless not only gets even stronger than he was the season before, but a guy like that, and the fact that his was his first injury, and he gets to come back to play with across from JD again, and they get to wreak havoc together because they're the real tandem on this football team. You know what I'm saying? If J.J. Watt does anything extra, that'll be a plus. But in terms of Whitney Merciless play dipping off or anything like that, he's far from the lead. If it's somebody on the defense that I'm not worried about at all, is Whitney Merciless. I have no questions. I have no nothing. I just want to see him play. I just want to see. I mean, if he can play a few snaps, in the preseason, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm paying attention to what he's able to do, and that's all I care about. Had he had like a knee injury or hip injury or something like that, maybe I would have been concerned, because a player like him, because of his bend and how low he can get when he's coming off the edge, I wouldn't want him to have lower body issues to where he can't make the plays we're accustomed to seeing, especially if we're talking about creating the worst situation for Brady in week 1. We have to have Whitney Merciless in the game. It is no way around it.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whitney is definitely critical to our success and having a chance to beat the Patriots. But like I said, the Patriots have lost so many pieces. They generally start off slow early in the year. I'm not too worried about that. Again, they have a lot of pieces that they have to replace and figure out what they're going to do. But again, they find ways to limit your best player. But we have, I think, if everybody's healthy and able to contribute as they should be, we have too many guys for them to just be able to limit one guy, and they're going to have to kind of pick their poison in that situation. But speaking about one of those guys and the best trying to limit, we're talking about Clowney. Now, Clowney had a knee scope right after the season. We've seen, throughout the years, he's had a couple of knee issues, a couple of knee injuries. And right now we're still kind of in the question mark area about what's going to happen with that contract. More so, do you see, before we get into, the more details about the injuries, do you see Clowney being a potential holdout for camp?
No, because that move already would have been made. And I just don't see it. Anything can happen. Because a player that status, I mean, if Aaron Donald can be a holdout, if Khalil Mack and these guys can sit here and say that they can be holdouts for teams, and guys that know that they're prolific athletes and they mean something to their team, I mean, they can say they can hold out whenever, and teams gonna have to get the ball rolling. And if they want to play games, then they'll just go to some other team. They'll get that money that you owe them, and they'll make your ass pay later. So I don't want this dude Brian Game to already just take over a job, let this shit go to his head just because he's a first-year GM and he thinks he knows what he's supposed to be doing. If you want to show people that letting go of Rick Smith was the right thing to do, then don't fucking play games. Like, not only are you in a situation where you're creating more cap space by letting certain dudes go on this team, and I felt that Kareem Jackson should have been one of them, but it is what it is. He kind of has no. I think without Andre Hale being diagnosed with cancer, I honestly believe at that point in time he gets cut from the team to save even more space. And if you're not going to use it to extend Whitney Merciless, DJ Reader, or because he's another player that we seriously need to talk about, because I think he's going to be phenomenal when it comes to this season. But we can probably do that a little later on in the show. But I don't want Brian Gaines playing no games when it comes to Jadeveon Clowney or Deshaun Watson. He does those things. I'm already on the fence about him anyway. But if he does anything to fuck those two situations up, like they thought the Matt Saab situation was bad, I guarantee you somebody's showing up to his front door.
Man. We ain't gonna talk about Matt Saab. We're not gonna talk about that extension. We ain't gonna talk about nothing related to number 8. But let's talk about the Clowney and the situation. But the thing that I said, and I've kind of speculated on this before, is either Gain is trying to let the market get set before he offers Clowney if they haven't already been in conversation. I mean, and I have to believe they've already had some conversations, and I'm thinking that it can't be in the range of maybe what Clowney is interested in, simply because, you know, he says this is his first priority, and if they've been able to resign McKinney, that means to me they've had to be in talks with Clowney's agent. That's what it says to me. Now, again, like I say, I think that Clowney is a very prolific defensive player. A lot of people go to refer, well, he doesn't have double-digit sacks. But he tends to, what he leads in tackles for loss, and then he still contributes in sacks too. What he is, he's a guy that plays behind the offensive line. He makes plays. It might not just be sacks, but he's going to stop the run game. He's going to stop your quarterback. He's going to change up what people have to do. And then the fact that he's, you know, you can put him on the line, you can put him at linebacker. The versatility, and again, like we talk about that versatility being a sometimes good, sometimes bad, it gives you the ability to send him from anywhere. And I think, again, last year we know who was running the defense. Maybe he didn't pick the right spots at the right times to position Clowney. And I think a lot of that had to do with that. You got to look at who it is and what they have. And I think Vrabel might have been trying to overuse or overthink himself in trying to use Clowney. Yeah,
you're right. And honestly, I believe with the way that Clowney played last year and the fact that he was healthy the whole season, I see no reason with the way that they were doing shit the year before, even without J.J. Watt and Whitney Mercilus not being in the game. I see no reason why he didn't have 14, 15 sacks just due to situations and schematics. He would have known how to get these dudes off the ground. He would have brought more pressure from the DBs. And that's something that never made any sense to me. Like, why he never brought any real pressure. And when he would bring pressure, the shit would work, and he would go away from it. Eddie Pleasant and guys like Corey Moore would make plays, you know, and get sacks and shit like that, and would fuck up the rhythm of the timing game. Because nobody could really run on us the entire season with the exception of a couple of quarterbacks. Shit, one of the best running backs in the league last year couldn't even get off against us like that. You know, I mean, he got a couple of big runs, but I mean, we held him under 100 yards in Todd Gurley, and we saw how Jadeveon Clowney abused him. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So like I say, now, but let's bounce back and let's take a look at that though. Again, with the knee scope at the end of the season, do you think that there is some concern about potential, you know, with the injury history and then, you know, going forward? Do you think that that's an issue? Do you think that they're looking at or Gain maybe looking, okay, well, hey, they offered Watt $100 million, and ever since then it's been downhill, and maybe not want to fall in that same trap and make that same mistake?
No, you can't treat that situation like that, because at the end of the day, J.J. Watt was a guy who was a beast, who was going off, and is getting injured and hasn't really helped his football team be in much better situations when he was on the field. Meanwhile, as a rookie and a sophomore player, and his sophomore year was very underrated. A lot of dudes like to chalk that up and say, "Oh shit, what would you expect about a dude coming back early, you know, from a meniscus tear the way that he did?" Knowing that guys at that position have never really panned out. He finished 13 games and had his best game against Tom Brady that season and went to the playoffs. I don't understand, you know, like how people could talk down on him because he was a number one pick the year prior. You name me, I guarantee you Khalil Mack wouldn't have done that, half of what he did that season if he was in the same predicament. And it's so easy for people to sit here and say, like, "Oh, good, you know, Goods are so much better than him." Bro, look at what he's had to come back from, and look at how he's dominated and getting his respect around the league.
All right.
I mean, come on, man. Since that time, he's already a 2-time Pro Bowler. Already. I mean, and so he's going to be aiming for his 3rd Pro Bowler, and he could potentially be an All-Pro this season, if not more. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say that he won't be a Defensive Player of the Year? Because I'm not willing to discount it.
Right.
Especially since Romeo Cornell's back, and now we got Honey Badger and a few other places. So it can happen.
Okay. Well, that brings up the fourth point, the fourth thing that we need to look out for going into this Texans camp, and that is the return of Romeo Cornell and all that brings with it. I think they didn't necessarily clean house. The Titans came by and picked up the trash for us, made it easy on us, you know. But I think that year off may have provided some insights for Romeo Crennel, because he got a chance to step back, and instead of having to be, sometimes you can see the bigger picture when you're not involved in it.
Right.
He had a chance to step back and say, okay, well, this is how Vrabel is fucking it up, and this is what he's doing with such and such. Okay, well, I see that's not his strength. Okay, well, this is what I want to do. This guy here is could be implemented in a different fashion. And so I think with him being able to step back and just get a wider view of things, I think there's going to be a different approach to how he comes. I don't think that he's going to just necessarily change everything up. I'm not saying he's not going to be Crennel. He's not going to bring the heat. But I think that year off, not having that stress of having to be in game, making calls and making decisions, and kind of being able to second guess and just kind of examine things, I think that's going to bring, and it's not like he doesn't have enough experience already. He's been in the league, 30-something years, 37, been coaching 37, and that's not counting the collegiate experience.
Right.
I just think that view is going to allow him to do some things a bit more creatively. Again, having some more weapons, we can talk about those guys going down and how that affected what Vrabel was able to do. But again, you look at JJ, he had more than enough games. He should have had a sack or two at least,
Yeah.
And again, like I say, that's not saying that he wasn't. Of course, he was getting double team and all this other stuff, but still, Crennel would have found a way. He was there
to make sacks.
Yeah, Crennel would have found a way to open something up for him to be a bit more in a better position. And I feel like Vrabel kind of has the mentality of, well, they big and bad. They can find a way to do it. I feel like he lacks a lot. Again, I think people knew what to expect from him and really weren't concerned with what he brought to the table, except for in Tennessee, for some reason, they thought that he was legit. But what do you feel like is going to be
but I'm glad they took him off our hands.
So we didn't have to make a decision. So what do you feel like is the biggest plus about Romeo Crennel coming back and being the defensive coordinator?
His wisdom. And honestly, I believe him sitting out, him watching all the deficiencies of Mike Vrabel and seeing different packages and just seeing how teams like the Eagles played the Patriots. I don't think a coach like that has the ego to not want to see things that other teams are doing and implement it into his game plan. I think he has that type of mentality where he always wants his team to be better, and he always comes up with some exotic ass packages for guys to get blitzes, guys to be in good positions when they playing in coverage and get cover sacks. The coverage was very good just a couple of years ago from our DBs. The same DBs that we have now, with the exception of Honey Badger, Reed, and Colvin. And yet that was like the number 2 passing unit in the league. Sure enough, the secondary, the pass rush was good, but we were nowhere near top when it came to sacks and shit like that. Not even pressures.
I appreciate that love, Miss Voodoo C. Thank you.
So that actually means that weak defensive secondary that people claim that it was still number 2 behind just the Broncos.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
Hold on one second. Are you serious, Voodoo Child? Are you dead serious? Like, I don't want to laugh about it. It's not a laughing matter as much as I don't like the guy or care for his takes, but he knew he was too damn unhealthy to be out there trying to be a damn.
Please tell me you know. Please tell me you.
Because if it was a joke, I'm gonna bust out laughing. But if it's serious, I'm really trying to restrain myself because it's not proper. But when I get off stream, I'm probably gonna laugh. I'm just be honest with y'all. I'm gonna be honest with y'all because I laugh about everything, even shit you shouldn't be laughing about.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna lie, and the shit was funny as fuck to me. I seen an Instagram post. This ain't got nothing to do with football. Now, this stupid motherfucker was in Africa, and I guess they had some lion at this little zoo or something, or he was in captivity or some shit like that. Yeah. And I don't know why this old ass decrepit asshole walked his ass out in the little lion cage. The lion wasn't even facing his way. He was walking away. And it was a guy that I guess worked at the little place, and he was telling the lion.
Deshaun Watson MVP, JJ comeback player of the year.
Tried to run away from the lion, and the lion picked his ass up like he fucking grabbed him by the neck and dragged him. And this goofy bitch in the background was like, "Oh my God, help! Help, bitch, help what? How? Like, help how? and you should have heard this other goofy bastard in the back. This motherfucker had the nerve to be behind the cage trying to growl at the lion. This nigga said, "Arr!" This nigga said, "Arr! Arr!" You goofy bastard. Oh man, I couldn't feel bad for none of them. I'm like, cause that was supposed to happen. Like when people get eaten by lions, I always think it's comedy. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, first off, why the fuck are you fucking with their habitat? Why the fuck are you fucking with wild animals anyway? They're wild for a reason. They live in the regions that they live in for reasons, and yet you feel because you're human, you can dominate these motherfuckers whenever you want. And then when they eat you, then it's the lion's fault. Yeah. Like, you're an asshole and you deserve everything that you deserve. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was fucking ridiculous to me.
Man, that's why I seen some shit with some motherfuckers. They had a bunch of like bodybuilders trying to fucking like play tug of war with a lion. Damn lion like laying down, not even sweating. This was a female lion. She just chilling, like just biting on the rope, and it's like 4 or 5 grown ass men, like I say, but they trying they hard, they sweating, pass it out, and all kind of other shit. Oh man, that shit there. Well, I say, man, I ain't got time for that jungle shit. I ain't got time to be entertaining no wildlife. I don't even like wild birds and shit floating around. I said, look, hey, I done been on the ferry going to Galveston and got shit on, so fuck them too. So anyway, but get back to Cradell and what he brings to the table, man. You know, I just think I also agree with you. The wisdom, the experience that he has, the knowledge that he has. He's not going to fucking – to me, Vrabel is a hype man, and that's just kind of what he was. You know, he knows how to get motherfuckers fired up and make a play here and there. But, again, I don't respect his intellect, I guess, on the field. Again, like we said, that front seven solidified. He knows what he's talking about. He'll be able to get you. But I think when it came to having to include that secondary, I think that's where he lacked, and I think that's what put us in a bunch of bad positions. We could look at Cornell. He didn't have Watt, and of course we can say, well, he had Merciless. Even with Merciless going down too, he's been underappreciated. He was still able to keep that defense relevant. And
exactly, you're right. But honestly, Mike Vrabel doesn't get a pass from me because he had J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless and them guys like that for over 5 games. It was no reason we shouldn't have had more sack output. It was no reason we shouldn't have had more pressure, more this, more that, more cover sacks and shit like that, because you had phenomenal talent on the football field that was there the year prior, but yet you didn't know how to use them when the time came. So that just goes to show you that you came in too early, and we made a mistake by hiring you because for some reason we were afraid to get rid of you when we should have just let you bounce and let the man who got us to the #1 spot stay there. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Romeo Cornell, just rewatching Hard Knocks, like on because that shit is on the NFL mobile app. Like, if y'all want to rewatch the shit, like if y'all just want to watch seasons of Hard Knocks and shit, they got every single season. And he scares me. Like, when this motherfucker in that practice, and he was like, yeah, this is a shitty fucking plan, and if you don't want to get, we gonna get our ass beat. So you're gonna decide who the fuck makes the plays and who doesn't. Like, man, like, look, you see when you see dudes like that, he's real quiet. But when he opens his mouth, you listen. And all the motherfuckers was on hush mouth. They was like, yes, sir. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, go ahead and get this shit up. And then that's when you hear J.J. Watt's, good talking ass. Yo, I don't want to be talked to like that. I don't know about you guys, but we got to get this shit corrected. Give it all the veterans, give it the rookies, so we can patch this shit.
Oh my God. No, man, but I agree.
He don't play no games.
But that's the thing, though. I think because he's usually so smooth talking, he's really just kind of calm demeanor and things. So they know that when he get fired up, it's for real. When Vrabel's always at that high intensity, he only got one speed, one level. You know what I'm saying? They don't know if this motherfucker serious or he just bullshitting. What the fuck is really going on? This is just Vrabel being Vrabel again. I think it only.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said, Heidi. He said, take that per.
That's fucking wild. See what happened there? We coochie. What happened? We lose a little connection there.
Man, he had shit to say when Pierre Garçon was in his space talking shit. He waited till he was off on the sideline. He was like, "Yeah, you're like 80 pounds. Why don't you try to stay the fuck away from the defense? Shut your bitch ass up." Nigga, Molly whop your whole ass.
All right, man. Let's get into the fifth thing that we want to talk about. Like paying attention to going into the to the Texans and the Texans camp, man. And I think this fifth thing has already been answered, but we're gonna talk about it just because so many people outside of Texans Nation, so many people outside of Soft Sports and Sauce Nation. Well, I won't say so because Soft Sports has a variety of folks, so we ain't gonna keep them outside. But outside of Texans Nations, they have so much input on this one point, on this one thing, because they have nothing else to debase us on, to debunk us on, to try to make us feel undermined, to try to kill our spirits. We hear it coming from the Titans. We hear it come from Clarence and his real nice parents and the Jags. And the fifth thing is Deshaun Watson's knee. I think that the video posted on his Instagram, posted on the Texans Instagram, that's been copied and posted by everybody who got a Texans page, proves that. I'll ask you, should we have any major concerns about Deshaun Watson and his knee going into Texans camp?
I'm not worried about it at all. I was never worried about his knee. Once I found out, for one, why is everybody and why do people have reservations, but they have no reservations about Carson Wentz's knee when he had actual ligament damage to his ACL, which means recovery time is going to be far longer. And yet, the very next week after he tore his ACL, and people love to say, "Oh, he tore it in the Seahawks game when he threw that screen and the guy hit his knee. He didn't run anymore after that." Nigga, we didn't have the ball anymore after that until Russell Wilson fucking had the ball, and when we were running the ball with Lamar Miller. What situation were we in where he could have did any run pass action or play action calls to even see if he could still move? So when people say goofy ass shit like that, like, I just know that they can't be taken seriously anyway. You know what I'm saying? But as far as Deshaun Watson, I'm not worried about him at all. I was never worried about his knee because it was as clean, you know, as a piece of tissue paper being torn. No ligament damage was done. No damage was really done to his knee. So the recovery was way sooner. Like his knee was good by January. You know what I'm saying? January, February. You know, he knew it. He just kept the shit under wraps, and he made sure that he maintained that he was throwing. And the shit that he did in Super Bowl week, I don't have to talk about it again. I knew then. I was just like, okay, yeah, he back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, of all the things that I'm most optimistic about, and I'm usually been pessimistic of a few things that have been going on with this franchise, I am so optimistic, and I am not worried, and y'all shouldn't be worried either, because this man gonna perform, and all these guys are like, well, what about his knee and this and shit? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, not only did the man have the injury before, but this injury was far less severe than his knee that he injured in college. And if the man has not proven to you that whenever controversy or whenever, you know, he's denied or somebody thinks that he's going to do something, he always answers the bell. He's been doing this his whole life. So why am I to believe that he's not going to do it now when he holds all three of the best traits that a quarterback can have? He's accurate, great footwork, and he's clutch. Okay. I don't get it. I don't know how anybody can say anything different, but okay.
Let's speak about that footwork for a second. Again, did you have a chance to see the video that was that he posted today? Working the ladder?
I didn't see that video, but you know what video I did see today? Some fucking commercial that he shot, and it was some truck that was like in the it was some truck that was like in the desert or some shit like that with a big ass tire on the back that he was working on his accuracy. The truck was going all kind of different ways and shit like that, and this motherfucker was hitting the damn tire. He actually threw a couple of passes where the shit was turning and the motherfucker was pinpoint accurate, and the ball was going through the damn tire on a 4x4 truck. When I find the video, I will tag you in it, and you'll see what are you worried about?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I saw that post, but I didn't know what I thought it was just a bad, like one of them, just a regular ass promo. I didn't even watch. I saw a truck. I'm like, oh, this ain't about nothing. So I didn't even end up watching the video. So I'm gonna definitely have to check that.
No. Go back. Okay. Go watch that video. Go watch that shit.
Okay.
It was crazy.
All right, we got a couple of texts that have come in on the sauce line. We're going to answer a couple of these things. Then we're going to crack the sauce line open here. We wanted to get through the points first before we open it up, so that way we didn't get too caught up in that. All right, Chandler had a couple of points, and we missed a couple of them. And one of them early, he said, we'll cover all of them, and I'll write these down so we make sure we get everybody's points here. We don't want everybody to feel left out. So I'd like to see Nick Martin at left guard. I'd like to see Greg Manx at center. We should put Senio Kelemete on the right side of the O-line, and for the guards, I think it's going to be DQ and Zach Fulton. Next point was I'm telling you guys that Justin Reed, Duke, he can hit hard and cover the field is vision. I was watching highlights of Miss Stanford. He looked like something else. I think he has the heart and the passion. I think that he fell into a good situation. I think he's going to like it because, I'm just seeing him doing a lot of training, and to me, he seems like he's dedicated to his craft. So I do like that. It says, hey, Honcho, I got a question for Wink. It says, when are we going to get Ryan Anderson traded, and when is Carmelo Anthony going to come to Houston? So we'll talk about all three of those points that Chandler has before we get into the next text message, and then after we get all the messages, we'll open up the sauce line for everybody. So all right. We'd like you for that. Look again, like I say, the thing about football and statistics, Clarence, is again, QBs get too much credit for a whole bunch of shit. Just because he's 2-1, it doesn't matter. How many years did it take him to get 2-1? How many years has he been in the league? And then we'll get back to that. All right. So if he don't got as many playoff games as he's been in the fucking league, let's not even consider that. Just in the games.
I'm not even gonna waste my time.
Because the fact that you try to support this guy, like if you were promoting Fournette, I say okay, you make it sense. If you was talking about Ramsey, I'd listen to you. But the fact that you're trying to put Blake Bortles on the pedestal when everybody knows that the Jaguars were able to be successful in spite of him, you know what I mean? Right. Like, come on, man. Just stop. This is my quarterback, man.
He actually had some weapons. He actually had a tight end to bail him out of spots last year. He's no longer there, so we'll see. I'm not even gonna waste my time, bro. I'm not going there. He's not gonna be the equivalent of what Edman is to Ray Ray.
Yeah.
So I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not even gonna pay attention to anything that he got to say, and we're gonna move forward with it.
Okay. So what do you think about Chandler's points, man? He had his lineup for the start lineup.
I don't agree with it. I respect and I love what Chandler always has to say, and he's always a contributor to the sauce, but I don't agree with that at all. The only move that you could have said that could have made sense, that would have probably worked out for the team, and I'm not even so sure I even want, if Nick Martin had to play guard, I don't want him at left guard. I want him at right guard because he's more of a run blocking threat anyway, and that's going to end up being an issue, considering the fact that the interior is weaker right now, and that's where we had most of our breakdowns. Tackle is kind of whatever. We just gonna have to wait and pan and see that, because it's not really. I don't want Zach Fulton playing no tackle. He hasn't done anything at tackle. He hasn't shown anything, and I don't care about what Bill O'Brien likes, his versatility. He was brought here to be a left guard, so he damn well better play it. In terms of what he had to say about Justin Reed, I honestly think Justin Reed is going to ball for another point just because his brother's not in the league no more. That's extra added fuel, and he's been able to learn. And don't think in this 6 weeks that he hasn't learned shit from his brother that he was already learning when he was at Stanford years prior. So I think that that's really going to benefit him, and he's going to be able to add more fuel to the fire, because I found him on Twitter, and he be speaking some real shit.
Yeah, and he stay active, so it's like he stay there every day. He putting in work, so I definitely love to see that. The last one was the Anderson and Carmelo thing, which I think is still kind of tentative and up in the air. Look, I'd love to say we gonna move Anderson. I saw that I think Wise had mentioned Sacramento. The Kings actually want him. Do they actually want him? I know they freed up some money and stuff, but if they actually want
well, I know I saw Wise talking about that, but Braylon also told me about this, and hey, they've been breaking news for us, and what have they really been wrong about?
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. So they reliable sources in my book.
Yeah, so we definitely have to check into it. Like I said, I saw that they freed up the money now. If they willing to take, hey, Look, if they want to tell, I might end up in church on Sunday, man. Look, hey, all I'm saying is that's a long shot, but if it happens, hey, Maury is the man. Like I don't care where else would anybody think about it. If he make that shit shake, to me that's bigger than the Osweiler situation at this point in time, because Osweiler's that's big, but that's shit.
That's bigger than any. That's bigger than anything that could have gone on this offseason for the NBA if he unloads that contract off on the Sacramento. And honestly, Sacramento is in such a rebuild mode, and I can almost guarantee that they got a lot of money because they don't have players taking up any roster spots, especially since they got rid of Boogie. Like, you might as well pick him up. He may be serviceable enough. They know the man has talent, and it's just like Braylon was saying to me the other day. They really think like it was a mentality thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I think they think it's really just something mental with him, and because the guys pretty much outclassed him and was coming off of the bench before him, shit like that probably fuck with his psyche. But if he goes to fucking Sacramento, he could potentially be a starter, and why not?
Yeah, he need to be like Brock and get a mental enhancement coach. So get his mind right on a day-to-day basis. He got enough money to waste to go do it. Look, we got to find him. He need to go take a Tony Robbins seminar or something, but he'll be all right.
Right.
Okay, this one says, question for Wink: do you believe Treston Decoud is on the hot spot and could possibly be cut? And another question says, who do you see as a surprise cut from camp?
A surprise cut from camp? Honestly, if Kareem Jackson was cut, I would be surprised with that. I would so be surprised. But one thing I will say, regardless of the depth, I honestly believe if we cut any more linemen, that would really be bad for us. It's already bad enough. Okay, I understand that, Jeff Allen has heart issues or whatever injury he had to his leg, is still nagging him. So I can respect, the fact now that I've had a few days to really think about it. And it's because that just a day or so ago that I found out he had a heart problem is the only reason why I can feel good about it now, but last week, because I didn't have any information, how the fuck was I supposed to feel? Mm-hmm. It just looks like something that was just, a vendetta, or you just being vindictive about the situation, and you haven't even let this man even get suited up in pads to see what he has. And that's the same way I felt about the Derek Newton situation when that shit ended up happening. But it is what it is. And that's how I can look at it right now. I don't really think we're in a position right now to cut anybody. And honestly, I don't want to see any of the top 5 guys at wide receiver cut, period, because I think we need to carry 6 receivers this year.
Okay. Outside of Hop, Fuller, I would say Ellington. Who do you consider the other 3?
Kiki's gonna play. I think Braxton will still be here. I know some people have some trepidation about Braxton still being here, but like just looking at the tape, man, and Deshaun Watson is back. Why wouldn't you allow Deshaun Watson to be fully healthy? Because he was held out of games while Deshaun Watson was healthy on the field performing, and he really didn't get back into the mix until week 6. And then he played sparingly in the Seahawks game, and then after, he was finally a target full-time for Tom Savage. So how the fuck does that work out? You know what I'm saying? I just felt like it wasn't the right thing to do. So, and I feel like getting rid of a guy like that, I immediately feel like he goes to fucking New England and balls the hell out.
Yeah, that's the type of guy.
And it'll be our fault again for cultivating a player and getting rid of him too quickly, and we're gonna reap what we sow later.
Okay, I could agree, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I know they said surprise, because I wouldn't be surprised if that happened with Braxton. I know you said right. Jackson might be a surprise. Like I think I don't know. Like I say, I wonder, because like I say, the moves seem a little bit suspect. You got some guys that you want to bring in. I think the rookie's actually going to see more playing time. You got $9 million on the books with him. And historically, as a fan base, we all know how people feel about Kareem Jackson. A lot of people feel like it's undeserved that he's
the fact
paid
he wasn't even asked to take a pay cut, or he didn't take a pay cut, fucking bothers me.
Yeah,
like does that not bother you?
Yeah, and so that's why I'm wondering. That's why I'm saying I'm wondering if they really just like fuck it. We gonna see if he can do something here, and if he don't pan out here, then we gonna let him. I wouldn't. I'd kind of be on the brink with the Kareem Jackson situation being an interesting cut. And Treston, I don't think they're gonna cut Treston. I don't think he's on the hot spot. I think he's gonna have to show up a little bit, but I don't think that he's necessarily on the hot seat. He looks like he's been training hard in the off season. And he looks like
all he's been doing is training.
Ball. So we've been training and rapping, but it's all good.
Of all the DBs, if him or Kareem got cut, but I would be like irate if we cut Tristan Deku before we even seen what he has on the field to play full time. I'm gonna be fucking irate.
Well, here's the thing, Clarence. He can't do a Dak because Dak has been carried by Elliott his entire career. We already know what that was. Dak is Elliott. What Elliott does, I even talked to a Cowboys fan today. He was on some PUBG, and he was trying to big up Dak. He's like, man, I'm real. It's Elliott. Dak is trash, and then Elliott, that's my quarterback, that's my receiver, that's my running back. That's everything is Elliott. So they know that Dak is ass out there. So trust me, we ain't even worried about that. Everybody from the 713, put your hands up and follow me. Okay, I think we have one more text on here we're going to answer, and then like I said, we'll open up the sauce line for a couple of minutes if y'all have some things that y'all want to call in and say. Says, should the Texans still be looking for a backup, or do we feel comfortable with Whedon? I'll let you answer that, and I'll put my thoughts on that.
What was your question?
Says, should we still be looking for a backup, or should the Texans be comfortable with Whedon? I think the sound went out a second. Hold on. Let me see. Well, I'll go ahead and answer that.
My connection was fucking up on me in this damn hotel. Okay. Yeah. What you were saying now?
No, it was saying that should we be comfortable with Whedon as a backup, or should we be looking for another backup QB?
Absolutely. I don't have any problem with Brandon Whedon. Brandon Whedon was cut far too early. That is one move that happened last year in the offseason. I was like, what the fuck did they cut him for? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it then, and I understand why they brought him back now. I understand he'll be able to do some different things in this game. I know a few players, in prior years that have been backups that have been brought in have been able to do, certain things in certain games at certain times. I don't want him to be any full-time starter or anything like that. I honestly believe Deshaun Watson starts all his games this year, and his leg won't be a problem. I don't see that, regardless of what anybody's saying in the chat. You can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, this man only gets better, and it's not like he's always injured. He's not. People act like because he has a major injury years ago that hasn't affected him at any other point at any point, whether it was a college or the NFL. He injures another one. Gets a clean tear with no ligament damage, but somehow he's supposed to be damaged goods now. Okay, pull the wool over your eyes on somebody else. Nobody's scared over here whatsoever.
The reason why it's such a big topic of conversation, it's the people outside of the Texans, especially the biggest nemesis that we've been dealing with. Well, Jags haven't really been a nemesis, but the Titans, it's on their conversation. I told y'all, I ain't got into it with a Titan. Like I said, it was just actually I just kind of started trolling after a while because like I see, they talk crazy. They tried to. I told y'all about them trying to compare Mariota's best 7 games out of 23. I
saw that last week on Twitter. You talking on Twitter?
Yeah, and I'm just like, come on, it don't even make sense. It does not make sense. You can try to justify it however you want to, but the shit don't make sense.
I tried to go read the shit on that post. That post deleted now.
Well, see, there you go. That's what I'll say. There's a reason because they know that what I was saying was making sense. They was like, I was wondering because I'm like, man, that shit should have been there because honestly, they should have motherfucking had more rebuttals for that because all them little trolling Titans fans that was coming through there. I was like, come on, man, like get the fuck up out of here. Why says which player makes the biggest improvements this season and which reliable player will disappoint? Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. Who makes the biggest improvement this season? I'm going to go with somebody you said earlier on, and I think it's going to be DJ Reader. I think DJ Reader is going to make a leap this season. Reader's just been active in the offseason. I mean, he seems like to be a student of the game.
Right.
I'm laughing at Houston B.
He's only gotten better every year he's played.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be a big factor. Reliable player that's going to disappoint. I think that's a tough one. I don't know, man. I don't know about that one.
It's ridiculous, man. He's definitely gonna have that 3rd year leap. Is this his 3rd year? This is his third year. Yeah. This is his 3rd year because he came in the same year as fucking Fuller. Yeah. That's just gonna be a nice player for us to have. A nice cog in the middle of the defense, especially if they end up running a 4-3. I feel if him and Covington play in the interior, or him and Brandon Dunn, however they want to mix and match it at times, because you can get a guy like Brandon Dunn to come in as a second D tackle, or even Carlos Watkins.
Yeah,
I'm so ready to see what he's going to end up doing. I'm ready to see what Carlos Watkins can do under, Romeo Cornell, because Mike Vrabel didn't even truly use him the way that he should have. But it's like I said, man, it's so much shit that's gonna be able to go on now that he's the DC.
Man, here's the thing. Y'all got some good points on the biggest disappointment. I don't think Joseph's gonna be a disappointment. I think he's gonna be all right.
Me either.
I'm not expecting to play just at a super high level, but I think he's gonna be consistent. Lamar Miller could be a disappointment depending on how B.O.B. uses him, and that's kind of why a lot of people have been disappointed in him. But again, if you put him on the outside, he's Gucci. He's one of the best in the league. But you're trying to run him up the middle with guys who can't block for him, and of course he's going to look like ass. Again, that's play calling, not skill set. So I think if it came down to that would be on coaching. Let's see, Kevin Preston saying that Covington.
Yeah. I was just about to ask. Like he says, it will be a disappointing season. What indication has given you? What? Because he looks like Simon Phoenix now. I mean, is it because he dyed his hair, and he wants to be Cisco, the 300-pound version? I don't know. I mean, outside of that, I don't really understand where you would get that from when he's progressed every single season, too, especially last year before his injury. He was playing damn well, and he was actually – it was a couple of games where, like, I don't even fuck with PFF, but, like, they actually had him rated, and he was in the conversation of making a difference in the game. Like, the fact that he was even mentioned by an irreputable site, like, you know what I'm saying? He actually, was getting his just due, and it was good to see an outside source mention his name.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't hate on him for what he's doing with the hair. That's just that Canadian shit. So I'm gonna let that slide. I'm gonna give him the Canada pass as to why he's doing that weird stuff. But
it's an opinion that I'm asking a question as to why you think that. What I'm asking you, what makes you think that? Just an opinion. That's just a statement just to be making it. I want an example as to what skill set you think he doesn't possess that'll get him abused and that will cause regression in his play. That's what I want to know. Or if you feel that it's a player that will outplay him, I want to know that.
Yeah, so you think Watkins going to outdo him. And the South Line is open for the next few minutes. I see, if y'all want to call in, we'll definitely take a call or two. I texted in the chat, but I didn't say it out loud, so maybe y'all didn't hear it. I know y'all be having some reading issues, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good. This text says, who should be starting running back in week 1? It's going to be Miller because I don't think Foreman will be ready, so that's going to be that. And will J.J. Watt Clowney stay healthy all 16 games? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say they're going to miss a game or two here. I don't think it'll be like a season-ending injury, but I think they might each miss a game or two. So that's what I'm going to go with that. What is your opinion on that one?
On who's going to miss a game?
It said, will J.J. Watt and Clowney both be healthy all 16 games? Oh, hold on a second.
I think Clowney will. I don't think I think Clowney will. I don't think JJ will.
Hold on. One second. I just accidentally answered the Sauce Line call before I got it. What's the motherfucking deal? Who we got calling in on the Sauce Line?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Hey, what's the deal? What's the motherfucking deal?
Hey, what's up, man? I have 2 questions for you today.
All right.
All right. The first one, I was watching on another stream. Y'all was talking about Melo. If we got him, that we would put him at the 4. My question is, what do you think about him at the 3 and moving PJ to the 4 and kind of running like a smaller lineup? Because I think PJ is like an underrated defender. No. And my second question is Le'Veon Bell. I read on Twitter that this was going to be his last year in Pittsburgh. What do you think about him possibly coming to the Texans?
Okay, that's a bet, man. Two good questions, man. I'm gonna hang up on you. We're gonna answer them.
Yeah.
I appreciate you calling in.
All right.
Already.
Yeah. Before anybody else calls in, allow us to go ahead and finish these questions first and then call in. Because it's not like y'all not watching the show and getting ready to call in at the same time.
Now, the Melo at the 3, power forward, PJ, I can rock with that because, I mean, it's almost the same deal. PJ can guard you anywhere from he can give you the versatility of defense. So, I mean, he can give you from almost from your 2 to your almost, it depends on what kind of center you got, but he the 2, 3, and the 4, he's Gucci, no matter what. So I'm not opposed to that situation and letting Melo play small forward. So that's something that I said that's cool about, because you just have to have somebody who's going to make up for that defense of Carmelo, the lack of defense for Carmelo, and PJ automatically is going to give you that. So I would not be opposed to that. So I think that Melo could kind of go either way.
I mean, we tried that smaller front the season before, and when we really needed to make bigger plays, that rim, against the rim protection, that shit cost us. We can sit here and act like because of the refs and a couple of things didn't go our way and some shots didn't go our way, with some extra protection against the rim, we win that game against Golden State easy.
Yeah. I mean, defense was really got us there, but I mean, at the same time, shit, we missed 30 fucking threes. So I mean,
yeah,
I mean, that's just
you didn't have to take those threes though.
But
I mean, they could have took mid to short to mid range shots and been in a better situation. I think because they felt that they were
the only person allowed to take
mid
range shots was CP3. D'Antoni would have had a conniption. Anybody else taking motherfucking mid range? CP3 had that special permission. Anybody else with that mid range game? D'Antoni for the yank their motherfucking ass up out there.
I think Ariza, Gordon, and Tucker could have provided, and James Harden, when he saw his 3 wasn't hitting, he should have just took more mid range shots. Yeah. That's what he should have did, but that adjustment wasn't made on their part, and hopefully they don't make that same mistake again.
All right. And then the second question with Le'Veon Bell, I'm cool on that because, one, like I say, right now they're talking about it projected the Texans will have about $80 million in cap going into next year. Now, this is before you get a Clowney deal done.
Right.
Now, depending on what you pay him, that's going to take a nice chunk out of that because, it just depends. And then Le'Veon, he wants receiver money. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And my thing is, as good as he is, as much as he does contribute to the game, that running back position, I hate to fucking say, because I was pondering back and forth on this earlier today when I saw that, because I was like, man, it's fucked up how they doing it. But again, sometimes you have special players and you got to do it. But then again, what I think that does, maybe it's not your problem if it does happen, but then you kind of upset that running back marker. Then you're going to have other running backs. Right. Well, I can do a little bit of this and do a little bit, and then they're going to be expecting to get that Le'Veon money. But the shelf life of a running back is short, man. And it's unfortunate. And the way we play the game nowadays, it's not the same. Of course, I'm not saying he's replaceable, but at that price, you're going to find you a different option. So I wouldn't.
And honestly, how I feel about it, I wouldn't mind having that type of talent, considering the type of makeshift O-line that we're going to end up happening. And a guy like that is patient enough and is able to read blocks and make shit happen and is far more decisive. You're going to need that type of decision-making from your running back when shit is not going right, and it only helps the threat of the play action and frees up, your receivers, your tight ends to make plays. And him with a guy like Deshaun Watson is fucking retarded. Like, that would be crazy. It's a nice situation to be able to look at, and I honestly believe, like, elite running backs should be making, like, $65 million. Like, guys like him should be making along the lines of, like, 60. Maybe you can make an exception of about 70 million because he does provide, like, 800 receiving yards. He's catching the ball like 70+ times in a season. His hands are good. He can pass protect. He makes good decisions, and he's effective on the ground. And he makes defenses respect the run game. So if you put him with an elite passer, and I just put it to you like this: if he gets away from Pittsburgh, I don't see him not making that trip to New England. I just feel like that's going to end up happening. If he leaves there, it's gonna be in his best interest to go to New England and make their ass eat everything in the long run. LeGarrette Blount did it; he won a championship. You know what I'm saying?
I have to agree with a couple of comments being made in the chat though about Bell, because what you got to look at with that Pittsburgh, that whole program, man. There's a lot of good pieces in that entire offense. And they all kind of help each other out. You know, my same argument with AB is shit. Look at the pieces you got around him. Shit, you got Juju, you got Bell, you got Big Ben throwing you the rock. You have a solid line. You have a lot of factors that go into
bro,
that.
He's
that
just
I don't
the
think
beast,
that
bro.
they could go other places and contribute the same way.
He's just the beast, bro. I can't fault his success on anybody else but him. I cannot do that. Marcus Gilbert and none of them guys can take credit. True enough, they contribute to his success, but they are nowhere near in the conversation of him being the best running back in the league because they're on the same field as him. I'm sorry. He does not have the type of O-line. He doesn't have no top 3 O-line. So for people that, it's not like he got Dallas O-line. You got Dallas O-line, I could say that, but even Zeke with Dallas O-line, Zeke is just a freak on his own. He's making plays in coverage. He's reading defenses. And I done seen Pittsburgh O-line break down, and he's doing shit just like Arian Foster would do it, even when cutting back, finding shit, taking his time, getting skinny between the holes, from the A and the B gaps and the C gaps. You know what I'm saying? And outside the inside zone. You know what I'm saying? He can do everything you want him to, and he's a great receiving threat out of the passing time. No, Antonio Brown has nothing to do with him because if we being real, other than last year, who else besides Antonio Brown was really causing any problem? Because they wasn't getting the fucking ball to Martavis Bryant. They wasn't getting the ball to their tight end because he sucks. And, they didn't have any other weapons until Juju came along and made their receiving core more proficient. So outside of that, you can say he's almost been the most productive player on that offense for years to come. But AB is in a different stratosphere because he's a wide receiver.
Okay, and speaking of this, it's going to be the last 2 things we're going to take, and then we're going to wrap it up. I got a question of my own, and I'm going to take this last question that came in, texted in on the sauce line. Speaking of AB, how do you feel about him being the Madden cover athlete?
He deserves it. He's been putting in work. I'm not hating on him. He's a phenomenal receiver. I don't have no problem with AB, and I guarantee you, I'm a draft him somewhere along the lines, and like in my damn fantasy matchup somewhere, I'm gonna draft him at least like 10 times because I always play like 40 leagues, 35 leagues. I'm gonna end up having 10 in NFL.com, and I'm gonna end up playing the 25 leagues that they allow you to have in ESPN. And I'm going to play and manage every single one of them, and the shit is going to be retarded. So, I'm going to pick him up. He's going to be productive, and it is what it is. Pittsburgh was the ones who picked these players, so it is what it is. But he deserved it. He's been putting in work for years, though.
All right. Does he get hit by the Madden curse?
Madden curse hasn't worked since I'm seriously trying to remember who the Madden curses worked on. It didn't work on Brady last year. He went to the Super Bowl.
So
it didn't work.
So they didn't say the Madden curse wasn't on the catch, but he couldn't catch that bitch. That wasn't the Madden curse. That's what a lot of people.
No, that's just him trash. He a quarterback. That's just him being trash as a receiver. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a situation for him to be playing, for Belichick to be playing no games. Because that cost them that play could have cost them the game, but it was other plays that they could have made that they didn't. So if Brady holds on to the ball when he gets sacked by Nigel Bradham, then we not even who knows what that game's gonna look like. That sack is what determined that game, nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah, OBJ, he didn't suffer from that curse. Megatron didn't suffer from that curse. Matter of fact, he was on. He was still a top receiver. I can't remember Sherman when he was on there. He didn't suffer from the curse. And who was on there? Gronk. Even the year before when he was on there, he even didn't suffer from the curse. So the main curse really hasn't been effective since what 2010, 2011 or some shit like that. Like Drew Brees, when Larry Fitzgerald was on there, he didn't suffer from it. So quite a few athletes that made it past that Madden curse when we really go back and go look at it in those seasons.
All right. And the last question we're gonna take here, and this is something I've noticed and been floating around, and I said so, and I had to kind of rethink. I mentioned a little bit about this yesterday, but in the way that this is framed, I would definitely say no. But this says, serious question: do you think B.O.B. is a top 10 coach? If not, what will it take to get to that level? I'm gonna say no. I don't think he's a top 10 coach. I think it's gonna take him having if he gets less than double digits this year. I can't even entertain that conversation. Now, that's with everything being healthy, having all the pieces and talent that he has. He's going to have to go out and get the big wins. And if he can't get the big wins, then I can't put him in that conversation. He's going to have to beat top 10 coaches. To be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really the easiest way you can put it. Now, do I think he's a capable coach? Yeah, but, I mean, he's got pieces now. He has no more excuses. I said he really didn't have excuses last year, when he had the quarterback. But it went down, but a lot of things happened. So, we ain't going to we saw what it was, what the potential was with Deshaun Watson. But now, there's no more Rick Smith excuse. There's no more, there's no more extra excuses. You got the GM you want. You got the quarterback you need. The line is what it is, but that was from, the dealings with whatever. And you got the head coach that you need back in position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got a question. Though. Let's talk about something real quick before we change that.
Well, before we get to that next question, I agree with Solar Pimp C. I honestly believe he was between 15 to 17. He's really a 9-7 and 3 consecutive years, and then you go 4-12. That dips down your stock. And people can blame injuries all you want. He didn't have his football team prepared on either side of the ball once certain players went down. And teams had injuries all across the board and still didn't finish 4-12.
No, my thing is how much of that do you put on Rabel, though, being unprepared? Like, because this is where the question was actually going to go. Do you think the Vrabel move, was that a Bill O'Brien move or was that a Rick Smith move? Was that
of course that was a Bill O'Brien move. It's no way Rick Smith makes that move. Why? You were just the number one defense, and you saw how players had elevated underneath him. Why in the fuck would you change that? But he allowed Bill to be the head coach and make those changes because that's what he hired him for. And since he gave him that type of permission, and the fact that he's been firing coaches, because Bill O'Brien fires coaches, not Rick Smith or any other GM. So not only were you firing 3+ coaches every single season since you've gotten here, and that's always and no position group really has had consistency since they've been here. Like the year Stan Hickson was here and in 2015, and DeAndre Hopkins gets 1,500 plus yards with 11 touchdowns. Why in the fuck did he get fired that year? It made no sense to me. It made absolutely no fucking sense. And at the end of the day, I know why he did that, because he was at New England. He's a New England guy. He loves his guys, and he put his guy in a position because he didn't want him being pried away, because he learned and won Super Bowls under Romeo Cornell and felt that he was ready when he showed nothing to prove that. It's nepotism. That's all this league is. That's why Jeff Fisher has been a head coach as long as he was, is because of nepotism. It wasn't because of skill. It wasn't because of wins. It wasn't because of elevation. It's because he knows people who know somebody else.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, man. Like I said, we finna wrap this thing up because be sliding.
You were about to ask another question, though.
No, I was basically about that. It was was that move the thing. The other one was the top 10. I was just saying, no, I don't think he's a top 10. I think he's gonna have to prove it.
Oh no. Okay. Where do you put him now? Where do you put O'Brien in terms of coach? Because I gave mine, you didn't get yours.
I'd put him middle of the pack. Like I say, probably in the same position. I'd put him somewhere in that 15 vicinity. Because like I say, I'll give you the 9 and 7 years. I'm not going to hit him so much with the 2 and 14. I mean the 4 and 12, because there was some big. I mean, every top notch talent you had outside of DeAndre Hopkins went down. And I could only imagine. Knock on wood. I don't even want to imagine. But like I say, if it wasn't for DeAndre Hopkins, this would have been an unwatchable. And it was pretty much unwatchable. But I mean, it would have been an unbearable season. I mean, it just would have been what the fuck for and why. Outside of Clowney, outside of Hopkins, you had. No, I mean, you were really honestly watching games to see what one player would do on each side of the ball, because there were no expectations really from anybody else. we knew that what's his name was ass and coaching, but again, if that's under his responsibility, then that's the path that he chose with having him as his the leader of his defense. But I think that again, like I said, I put him middle of the pack, probably about 14, 15-ish. You know what I mean? Just like I'd have to really just get a rundown, take a real look at the list. I may do that later on tonight or tomorrow. Just kind of find a real what I really think of him. But I'm giving him credit for the fact that when most coaches aren't willing to swallow their pride and they'll try to fit a round peg into a square hole. And when he realized what he had in Deshaun Watson, he changed the game up. So I give him a E for effort on that because, again, like I said, a lot of coaches will say, okay, well, this is my system. This is the system I've been running. Like, I honestly feel like had Gary Kubiak gotten a hold of a Deshaun Watson, even though could you imagine Deshaun Watson running that play action? It'd be incredible. But
oh yeah, especially with the bootlegs and shit like that he had. But that's why I wanted Kyle Shanahan to be offensive coordinator, and the fact that they didn't reach out for him and he gets a head coaching job in San Francisco and being able to do shit with Garoppolo, and that team is gonna be nice this year. I know a lot of dudes gonna think they overrated and shit like that. Man, y'all just watch out and don't be afraid to give me my credit later on when his team end up coming to fruition. And Mike Shanahan knows what the fuck he's doing. I'm just gonna leave it at. I mean, not Kyle Shanahan knows what the fuck he's doing. So, I mean, y'all see.
Okay, but with that being said, like I said, we're gonna slide out of here. I got to get prepared, get ready to go slide in the Kush Den here in about 20 minutes. And so, like I say, man, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. You know, hanging tough. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we had a nice Wink Wednesday, so it definitely went down. So I appreciate that. And then, like I say, man, tell your friends, family, your associates, your coworkers, your whoever it may be. You know, simping kin, all the females you be simping with, tell them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let them know about the sauce, man. You know what I mean? And yeah, simping kin is blocked on the gram until he turns in a book report. You know what I'm saying? So I know he was in there talking about all the. Cause look, I'm look. If you gonna fuck around, or you gonna bother me. Look, I'm gonna make you better for it. Goddamn. So he gotta give me a book report. You got two choices. You can go and read. What was the one they suggested? You can go read Iceberg Slim, Pimp.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that way you get some game out of it. You either go read that Iceberg Slim Pimp, or you go read Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. You give me a book report on either one of those books, and I'll unblock you on the other platform. But until then, you know, you feel free to be at the chat. I'm just going to ignore you. But like I say, so man, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Man, just shout out to everybody who came through, everybody who interacted in the stream with us tonight. You know, it was another good one in the books, man. You know, I always got to say that because it's always gracious for Honcho to have me on, you know what I'm saying, and to help elevate everybody in the round table to be more successful, you know. So I appreciate you, you know, for allowing me to be a part of this platform and a part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? So Sauce Nation is going to elevate itself, and we're going to take over Houston sports media, and that's all I got to say.
Motherfucking me ready. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we got a plan. It's going to be time to start executing. See, you're asking about the fantasy football. We're going to get that rolling here real soon because it's getting back to that time of year again. I've had quite a few folks ask me about that. I got to go through.
I'm definitely having some drafts, so y'all want to get at me? We're gonna have that get set up. We'll probably do a live draft on Honcho's channel if y'all want to see that.
But what I'm thinking is we're gonna go through and kind of I got to see who all was participating last year and who really wasn't that active, and I'm gonna make sure that they get removed because it was quite a few folks. We had 16 in that one, so we ain't gonna do as many this year in that. So we may be a couple of different fantasy football.
Do like 12.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because, like I say, we had 16. And again, like a bunch of people didn't even really stay active. They just auto draft and they fucking shit was playing, and you know they wasn't even really.
They probably
competing.
Just did it just to say that they was part of the shit. You know, just because you did it, and just to be like so they could get shout outs and shit for free. You know what I'm saying on South Sports. That's probably all they did. If you gonna do the shit, be active, bro. Yeah, talk shit too.
Yeah, we'll look at it. Like I said, I know a lot of folks like a lot of different platforms, so maybe I'll do one on each major platform. That way we'll keep it consistent because, like I said, I know a lot of folks are interested in that. But we'll drop some info on that probably like Friday. I'll let y'all know more about fantasy football on Friday. So we'll call it Fantasy Football fucking Friday, all that good shit. But like I say, with that being said, man, we gonna slide up out of here. I got to get ready for the Kush Den. Y'all are more than welcome. Come join the Kush Den. The Kush Den topic tonight is why most leaders don't really want you to succeed. So again, I'll see y'all when I see y'all 9 o'clock. If you don't know how to get there, just go to cushden.com at 9 o'clock. And you know what I'm saying? You'll be in there like booty hair. But with that being said, we chunking up the deuce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Wink, another good episode, man. I appreciate you coming through, dropping knowledge as always.
Appreciate y'all, man.
And so like I say with that, y'all be cool. Sauce Nation, we out.